Topping today's news, the new Defense Force Commodore shares some of his plans. The Bahamas ambassador to the U.S. speaks on the work of the embassy. Pope Leo XIV holds his first mass, and a man shot and killed in southwest New Providence last night. This is your JCN Evening News. I'm Jarino Saunders. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Thursday at the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Coral Harbor Base, new Commodore Captain Felix Moxey from Mangrove Key, Andros, was appointed, and he replaced the outgoing Commodore, Dr. Raymond King, who held that position for the last 5 years. During his first speech as the new Commodore, Captain Moxey spoke on his plans to reform the Defense Force.
We will optimize excellence by bridging generation and embracing modernization. I will say this again. We will optimize excellence by bridging generations and embracing modernization. It is my intent to align with the will of the government of the Bahamas to forge a defense force that is modern, resilient, and forward-looking.
Captain Moxey becomes the 9th Commodore in Bahamian history to hold that position. He has served at the Office of the Attorney General, the Ministry of National Security, and has served as legal advisor to the Minister for National Security. Following the Prime Minister's visit to Washington, D.C. this week to meet with U.S. officials, including U.S. Secretary of State Senator Marco Rubio, to discuss a wide range of subjects of concern to both the United States and the Caribbean, there was an opportunity to speak with the Bahamas ambassador to the U.S., His Excellency Wendell Jones, who was asked about the work of the Bahamas Embassy and its relationship with key officials in Washington, D.C.
Well, the Embassy of the Bahamas enjoys a very good relationship with all of the departments of the U.S. government. And we are very happy to have seen the level of cooperation and support that the Department of State as well as the U.S. Treasury Department gave to the staff of the Bahamas Embassy here in Washington. And it underscores the high regard that the Bahamas enjoys in the United States, and the extent to which the American officials would go to accommodate us in that relationship and to make things smooth whenever we have visiting officials from the Bahamas.
Ambassador Jones also sat in on those meetings between the Caribbean leaders and the United States and reported that Prime Minister Philip Davis did an excellent job of explaining the Bahamas and the Caribbean's position on issues related to the Cuban work program and the relationship with China, while at the same time recognizing concerns held by the Americans. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently announced visa sanctions against governments that support Cuba's controversial overseas medical missions. Prime Minister Philip Davis advised the U.S. that the Bahamas is not engaged in any forced labor practices. Opposition leader Michael Pintard shared that his party is not pleased with the efforts that Caribbean countries are making.
You've already spoken to this matter. It is important for the government to take another look at the program that they're running and to ensure that it complies with international best practices when you have persons coming from a country that requires that a portion of their remuneration goes to their government. It has to be re-examined.
Meanwhile, on the matter of the first quarter tourism numbers, while arrival numbers remain strong, the Ministry of Tourism reported stopover visitors down by 4%. However, the Tourism Ministry remains optimistic heading into the summer months. Mr. Pintard shared his thoughts on the first quarter tourism numbers. Pintard is encouraging the government to create and implement a strategic plan for tourism with more focus placed on attracting an increased number of stopover visitors who spend more money when visiting the destination.
The Bahamas needs a strategic plan on how to increase the number of stopover visitors while we continue to get more benefit from the cruise passengers. And a part of doing that is, one, we have to create more compelling attractions, promote heritage and ecotourism, which means developing Fox Hill, Adelaide, Gambier, Baintown, making sure that if it's in Grand Bahama, East and West Grand Bahama, are given ample opportunities to develop attractions so we can gain more revenue from cruise passengers, increase the number of hotel rooms through boutique hotels for Bahamians, and the bigger hotels for Bahamians and others to run.
In addition to the reduction in services by the local banks, one would think with the introduction of competition in the telecommunications sector, we would see improved services over time. Well, according to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, there is a lot to be desired in the local telecommunications sector when it comes to certain services. He makes a strong suggestion on the way forward for the industry.
Telecommunications, that's also grown worse, whether it's BTC, where you can't complete a phone call without it dropping, or Cable Bahamas interrupting its services in the middle of your favorite program, and it's getting worse. The Bahamas government ought to do something like what they did in Belize, which is to get control of the phone company again, stop the profiteering by the now owners, the divestment, the sell-off, the layoffs, and improve the services to all the people across the country.
Some strong words by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, that's Mr. Fred Mitchell, whose ministry depends on reliable telecommunications and broadband services to communicate with governments around the world, as well as Bahamian embassies that are located worldwide. And finally, in this segment, Pope Leo XIV celebrated his first Mass the day after being elected pontiff. He tells the cardinals gathered in the Sistine Chapel that he hopes his election can help the Catholic Church bring light to the dark nights in this world. Born in Chicago as Robert Prevost, he is the first North American to be elected Pope. Donald Trump called it a great honor. Pope Leo, who's 69 years old, is seen as a reformer and worked for many years as a missionary in Peru, which he reportedly calls his second homeland. You're watching JCN TV 14. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back following these commercials.